This is the trend for a lot of students over the years. And I've been a student in Ghana, so I know the drill.
Exactly.
We say chew, pour, pass, and forget.
Yes.
You get the information, you're expected in the exams to reproduce the same information. Yeah. So we don't see the need to just do anything else, analyze it, or understand it even beyond that. We just see a need to just take all this information, memorize it, and reproduce. And in fact, when you do that, you pass your exams.
Exactly. And it's the nature of the education system we've been operating all this while. That's why we leave school, or we even learn just to remember and then reproduce. Yeah, so it's the nature of the educational system. So if that must change, then it has to change straight from creche, the preschool level. So that at that level, we are able to identify the learning needs or style of children and tailor teaching to suit them. So that by the time they get to class 6, they can be on their own to be able to manipulate the various styles of learning, to learn without pressure. So it is the nature of educational system we've been operating on this one.
You talked about...
And we call it rote learning.
I'll come back to explanation for rote learning. Let me finish this one. You talked about engaging your analytical mind when you're learning.
Yeah.
Who's supposed to do that for you?
First and foremost is the individual. Because learning is a personal responsibility. No one can force you to learn. Because even if I force you, I can only give you an advice. But as to how to apply it, you have to engage your mind to do it. So learning is a personal responsibility. Therefore, it is the individual who needs to do that.
Is there something that must be done during the learning process that will help me to analyze when I'm going back to that issue on my own?
Great. So the teacher has a role here. And the role of the teacher is to understand the learning needs of the student. And then the type of subjects he's teaching, he should be able to teach it in a way that every child will be able to start thinking along their natural thinking path. So that by the time the teacher is done, the student has gotten understanding of whatever the teacher is teaching. And then going to sit and learn on his or her own is just revision. But that's not what happens in most of our school system. So we only teach the hardcore knowledge, information, the topic, and expect students to understand.
Why do we tend to do that? Is it because there's not enough time? Because I tend to feel that there's not enough time to tackle the kind of syllabus that we have.
Great. That is one. 2, it also starts from the preschool level.
Okay.
Because most teachers, though they go to training college and all that, but application is always a challenge. So they have the knowledge, they know that this child is slow at learning, but they are trying to let the child pick up faster like another child who can easily recite within some few seconds. So then they start forcing that child who is slow to behave like that child who is smart. And then over time, the child now starts picking because he or she will feel inferior. Why is it that I'm always being compared to this person and he or she is always being first in class? So over time, the child now starts picking learning styles which are foreign to him or herself. And then it leads to a whole lot of challenges.
You talked about rote learning.
Yeah.
I want to understand what that is.
It has to do with storing information repetitively without understanding what you are doing.
Oh, they're just memorizing it and reproducing
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what we've been doing in our school system. The teacher teaches you, expect that exactly as I've taught you, reproduce back to me. When you try to use another means to reproduce it, they say, hey, you've gone wrong. And they will surely make sure they've given you a wrong mark. So then the child feels, no, I have to adjust to this rote learning, and then I'm done. Because if you look at we as individuals, we are all unique.
Right.
Some children or some people are good at rote learning, true and poor. They don't even learn it from anywhere. Naturally, that's how they are. Some engage in high analysis. So it takes time for their mind to process information to get to the level of understanding. But we don't have time for such children in the classroom.
But it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that child, right?
There is nothing wrong with that child.
They just have different learning styles.
Exactly. There is nothing wrong with that child. And that's where my book, I made mention of no child is born intelligent, not at all. We only differ the rate of intelligence.
Okay.
Some are slow, but even the slow person over time can pick up.